Hey there, this is Brittany from By Brittany Goldwyn. I post videos about plants and projects, and today we are talking about saving green onion seeds. I'm doing this little series on my Instagram and TikTok where I spotlight different propagation and seed saving techniques for different plants, and it's all about not buying plants anymore and getting them for free instead. So obviously there is always going to be some sort of upfront investment, whether that's buying the seeds or propagating your green onions from kitchen scraps. But today we have had these green onions in the ground for 2 years. They are a biennial plant, so they will take 2 years to complete their life cycle and go to seed. So I am going to show you guys how I am harvesting these seeds to replant for my fall crop of green onions. Now go ahead and skip through this part if you're already familiar or you're just not interested in what annual and biennial plants mean, but I want to give a little bit of a primer on this because when I first started growing green onions, I was confused why they weren't going to seed the first year like I thought they would, like a lot of my other plants do. So biennial plants means that you have to have them in the ground for 2 years for them to complete their life cycle. So for example, where I'm at here in Maryland Zone 7, tomatoes are something that I can save seeds from every year because that plant will not survive the winter here. We treat it as an annual. So I start my tomatoes every spring from seeds, then I put them outside and then I grow them pretty much until it starts frosting. I leave them in the ground for a long time. If I'm growing an heirloom or open pollinated variety of tomato, I can save those seeds, I can preserve them, and I can plant them for next year. And that's because the plant can complete its entire life cycle in one growing season. Now, onions are a little bit different, and there are quite a few plants that are like this. Parsley is another one that takes 2 years to complete their life cycle. So this onion plant that's behind me, it is currently August 2025. I planted this in March 2024. So it's taking 2 full growing seasons to complete its life cycle. When I planted these seeds, I got a bunch of green onions in the spring of 2024, and then they kind of like died back a little bit over the summer when it got super hot. They came back roaring in the fall of 2024. And then last spring, I actually did a video about how I dug up a bunch of these and split them off to enhance the number of green onion plants that I am getting because they do multiply after you have them in the ground for a while. And now that we are nearing the end of our second growing season in the ground in August here, they have started to flower and go to seed. So I've left one in the ground here to show you guys what the seeds look like because it can be a little confusing when you watch the flowers die off for the first time to know when the seeds are ready to harvest. I unfortunately forgot to get a picture of exactly what the flower looks like for this type of plant when it is flowering and going to seed. But this is about what it will look like right here. This is, I think, a chive of some sort. So they're all kind of closely related. It'll look a lot like that. If you've ever grown ornamental onions or allium, it'll look like that, but like a smaller globe ball cluster of tiny little flowers. So sometimes they're pink, sometimes they're purple, sometimes they're white, but those are mostly the colors that you'll see. So you will, when your plant is ready to start flowering and going to seed in its second year planted, you will notice a tall stalk come out of your green onions. Now this will be a hollow stalk, but it won't be one that you will want to cut to use for your green onions. Instead, you'll see this stalk shoot all the way up and then it will form a flower cluster at the very top. Leave that in place, don't do anything with it. If you want to continue cutting off some of those green onions from the bottom of the plant, you can, and I do recommend doing that because once the plant starts flowering and going to seed, it will no longer be putting effort and attention into growing the roots and producing more green onions. It's going to shift all of its focus to producing flowers and seeds to complete its life cycle. As your flower starts to fade and die off, you will notice the petals will be replaced with little kind of dry, light brown looking things like this. Those are not the seeds. When I first grew these, I thought those were the seeds. I thought, these look a little bit different from the seeds that I planted in the spring. So we're just gonna let this ride for a little bit and see what happens. These are not the ones that you want to pull. These are actually the little pods that hold the seeds in, and I'll show you guys a little up close shot here of what that looks like. Here's a look at our flower head here. It has tons of little seed pods on it. You can see if you look closely that some of these did not develop into seeds, and that is okay. We don't need every single one of these to have seeds in it, but a lot of them are showing that they are totally ready for harvesting because they have kind of cracked open on their own to this quadrant, or some of them have like 3 little sections. Some of them have, it looks like 4. It just kind of depends on each one. This one has a few more seeds in it, but you should be able to see the hard black seeds inside of those little pods. Those are the seeds that you want to be harvesting to save. Here is a look at one of the pods that I pulled off of the flowers. So you can just turn it upside down and dump those seeds out. And I am going to be just really replanting most of my seeds, not even storing them and saving them. But once I replant all of the seeds I need, I will take out the seeds that I'm not planting. They're so tiny, it's kind of hard to get it to focus, but I'm gonna try here. So this is what they look like. And I am going to take the seeds that I am not planting and I'm going to spread them out on a paper towel to make sure they are super dry. And then I will take them to a seed swap or give them to someone else or save them for next year or whatever, because I might not want to let my onions go to seed every 2 years. And since they do go to seed every 2 years, it's a good idea to save as many seeds as you can when they do go to seed, because you don't really know how many you're going to need next year, and you don't want to be in a position where you want to plant more spring onions, but you don't have any plants going to seed at that point. You could also choose to stagger plant biennial crops like this. So maybe I plant a crop of them now, and then right behind them, I might plant another crop of them next spring or next fall or whenever, so that they are completing their life cycle at different times. All right, I have clipped the head of the flower head off here, and you can see it is just full of seeds for us to save. So I'm gonna take this inside into the air conditioning and pull out these seeds, and then pop the ones I want to plant right back in the garden here and save the rest. So I hope you guys found this helpful if you are interested in learning about how to save your green onion seeds and the life cycle of this cute little plant. Until next time, happy planting.